right now we're gonna be working on the street car. So when we ran it last, the headers were getting like bright red. Let me show you a clip. One of the possible reasons for that is that the car's running really rich. But another more common issue with a car that's been sitting is that the cat is maybe clogged. We're cleaning these off now in a, what would you call that? I don't even know what you would call it. So we cleaned out the fuel filter. That is a resonator, not a cat. So I'm thinking that we're just running rich. So we're gonna just do a full tune-up. So fuel filter's got cleaned out. It's kind of dripping and drying out completely now. Cleaning all of these up. That obviously the threads look bad because there's a bunch of medium in there from the blaster. We're gonna do the rest of them, but this is what that one looked like initially. Pretty dark. It actually looked very similar to these two, so a little bit lighter. We're obviously gonna have to clean it up with like some brake clean and a Scotch-Brite, kind of bring it around there so we get everything out of the threads. But we're gonna do all these, and then I want to check the timing on this, and then I want to, since the fuel filter is out right now, it's not any like fuel left up here, so I'll probably check out the injectors too and put them on a tester and see how those are. But right now we're working on this. But I'm actually incredibly impressed with that. Like, it's good as new. Granted, I still gotta wipe a little bit more off down here at the base, but it looks really good. So, and I mean, that's after the initial clean. So still got a Scotch-Brite this one. But check this out right here, before. This is the before. I'll get you an after right now. Boom. I'm telling you, this works. It's good for cleaning them up. It saves you some money. These aren't bad spark plugs. It's worth cleaning them up while we're doing all of this stuff. All right, we got them all cleaned up. Gonna get some anti-seize on them, throw them back in, throw all our plugs back on, and then we will jump over to looking at the fuel rail. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna have to take off a lot of this to do so, but if that's what it takes to get this car running cherry, then that's what it takes. All right, as you just saw, we got them all in. Plugs are hooked back up, so let's go ahead and get cracking on this side. All right, so checked out the injectors. Everything looks good. All the seals are good. Everything's checking out so far. I made sure that the oil metering pump works. It's important to know if they work on these cars. I have to run it to see if it works, so we got to get to that point. The fuel filter, I put it back in, hook the lines back up, so everything's ready to run. I'm gonna be getting some power steering going on the rx7. Let me just show you why we need to fix this power steering setup. So for whatever reason, when I got the car, this was all hacked up. There's supposed to be a pulley in here, as you can see. Supposed to have a pulley, obviously adjustable from the top. I don't know what they were going for there. I don't know what the reason was. Regardless, we need to replace it. I got that for cheap from some dude off Marketplace, so we're just gonna put everything over onto this, but first we need to take off the pump and all that. So I already took the pulley off, a couple 10 mils, and then got 3 14 millimeters that we're gonna pop off, get this guy separated from the bracket, and then we'll figure out how in the world to get the bracket off. So it's gonna be fun. So weird the way that it goes in there. Boom. Old one's out, time to put the new one in. Honestly, not fun. I am not having fun doing this at all. Thought that was gonna slide down the windshield. Not having fun. but I don't have any of my power tools, they're at home. So it made like getting this pulley off like pretty difficult, but get in there now. So just gotta reassemble it all pretty much now. Get the front end up in the air, start it, and bleed this power steering system. Now that we have a pump, and we'll actually be able to get the pulley on there, assuming that I have everything to do so, which I think I do. We'll find out, but assuming we have all that, we'll get all this together and hopefully get that pump on there. Put the wrong bolts in. Hopefully get this thing bled out tonight. It's only 6:30 right now. This car's loud, so realistically, hopefully I can get this all done by like 7:45. That's the goal. So this is proving to give me a lot of issues tonight. First, these were the threads were kind of nasty, but I had tried to thread one of these in and it kind of messed up the threads on that. So it's like 9:30 now. I have these M6x1 bolts. I only have 2 of them. I gotta see if I have one more sitting around somewhere. I feel like I do. I don't remember what I bought these for, but I bought them for something recently. I knew I had them. I don't know where I put the rest of them. So if I can find one more, then I will cut these like in half and then we'll be able to use them. But right now, if I were to put it in there, it would bottom out on the backside, which we don't want. So it kind of sucks because I wanted to get this all done tonight, but since tomorrow's Friday, I'll be able to have all my tools here and we can make quick work of this. All right, well, letting her warm up a little bit. A couple things to do. These are obviously not mounted. They're not mounted right now. They're literally zip tied on. We just picked up these seats, so that's cool. We got to figure out the high idle. We got to figure out why it's kind of cutting out once we get to like 4,000 RPMs. Only when driving. We need to figure out what's in the rear that's banging around. And we got to rebleed the power steering because it's not as efficient as I want it to be. So close though. All right, so I think I figured out what one of the possible issues with this thing kind of misfiring is and why it would not be revving up all the way. I think I've got a fuel line that's leaking in here. So that also doesn't look very good, but that hose right there, if you look down there on the block, it's wet. So I'm thinking that fuel line is leaking somewhere. I don't know where it would be or where it is, but I gotta let this thing cool down. You can hear the water in the radiator. Like this thing it's boiling in here, I think. A little scared to pop that off. Yeah, it's literally boiling. So I have a new radiator on the way and a new overflow. All right, so things have kind of escalated here pretty quickly. So we got the intake manifold off, the upper and lower intake manifold off completely. So we ordered a new gasket here, broke one of these connectors, so ordered a new one of those. The fuel line that I was thinking was leaking is definitely leaking, as you can see. So we're gonna replace that right now, or make a replacement right now off of some hose that I have. And then we're kind of just sorting through little issues, you know. That's just part of buying a cheap car that wasn't running, is figuring out all the little things. Another weird issue is over here. So this is a brand new battery. I drove it the other day down the street, parked it for about an hour and a half. And when I went to go back and get in the car and start it again, it wouldn't crank. It didn't have enough battery to crank over. So something is consistently drawing power. And what I think it is, so I don't know if you guys can hear that, but you can kind of hear the relay kicking on for this. And this is stuck up right now. So only one side works. Let me show you. Right now, only the passenger side works. So once this is on, leave it on for a while, this motor down here is actually getting hot. So I believe that that thing's just getting constant power to keep it up. And so that's the issue there. So something in the relay is messed up. I'm gonna probably unplug the motor, leave the battery plugged in, and see if it drains overnight. Because if that's what it is, then you know that's what it is. But anyways, that might be our issue with that, and that might be the issue in why, if this is drawing so much power, then that's not going to be giving us enough power to crank over the motor. But on top of that, I did order a new starter, so I don't necessarily want to put it in. It was pretty cheap, so I figured I might as well buy it. I don't want to have to put it in. If I don't have to, I'll send that back. But it's also good to just have, so I don't know. Maybe I'll just hold on to it. Maybe I'll put it in. I don't know. I'm gonna record this because I guarantee I make a mess. I feel like you can never not make a mess when it comes to coolant. But the drain plug is all stripped off. So. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not that it didn't make a mess, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. All right, so radiator is out. Got all the fluid out of it. Got some little like paper towels in there to hold that over. Unplugged this light and no longer getting the clicking noise when I plug this on or put this on. So that means that that's definitely what was drawing power and giving us the issue of why the batteries kept draining and why this thing has trouble starting. All right, it's a very cold night. Got some friends coming over, so I might not film that much tonight, but we got some parts in. Not everything. Everything should be here. The rest of the stuff should hopefully be here tomorrow and the next day. That way we can get this thing fully wrapped up this week or this weekend, hopefully. I know I just said hopefully a lot, but anyways, so here's the one piece. This is what we'll be working on tonight. We got to make brackets for this. This is our coolant overflow, our new one. It's got 2 ports here, and it came with these push fittings, so perfect for us. Basically what we're gonna do, we're gonna mount this thing somewhat near the factory position down here. I'm gonna try to utilize these. I think we might be able to on the top, and then we'll just have to figure out a different mount for the bottom, which kind of sucks because this is all destroyed too, but we'll figure it out. So we'll figure that out, and what we're gonna do is just run our normal hose. I don't really know what that is about. Maybe to extend. Oh no, that goes to the top of the radiator. Still don't know what that's about. But basically we're gonna run one side in and then run the one side out of the other side. That way it's just still has the breather section of it, but we have our piece going in. So that's why we're trying to keep it over here. Even if we don't, we can always pull this through and relocate all of this, but I would like to just put it right here. So that's what we're gonna try to do tonight. We also got the fuel injector connectors, connectors, so we can do that. We'll probably do that tomorrow though, because I don't even have my solder gun, my solder iron, it's at work. So I guess we'll just be working on making brackets, and maybe we'll mount the seat. All right, so last night, honestly, this is a lazy mount. I really wanted to run a piece that went all the way down and caught both of those bolt holes, and then came out and over and used this bolt. But this is the easier way. It's not going anywhere, for one. For two, it was quick, simple. Literally took me like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And this whole structure is gonna get replaced eventually anyways, in which case I can make proper mounts that look nice and fit nice and all that, using bolt holes. But since this is gonna get replaced, it didn't really matter to me. I just wanted to get this mounted. So it's mounted, we got the hoses on there-ish. I gotta push them on more and put clamps on, but now we're just waiting on the radiator to show up. Should show up today, and then yeah, get this thing going. All right, got the new radiator in, got the overflow hooked up, all in there, mounted up. This thing ain't going nowhere. This thing ain't going nowhere. All we're waiting on now to get this thing back together is this intake gasket. We also need to scrape that off because the old one's just garbage. All right, so as you guys remember, this seat was pretty disgusting. I didn't want to run it. That's the passenger seat. The driver's seat was all right, a little ripped, but not too bad. Driver's side carpet underneath the seat is obviously stained, but it's not like disgusting. This side is disgusting. That's like all just drenched in oil. So I wanted to shampoo that, but nobody has a shampooer that I know. So I've just been dabbing it up with oil, with paper towels, trying to get as much out as I can. But we got these seats, so I got these for really cheap. It's a matching set. They are red stitching, which kind of sucks. Doesn't really match the car, but they're nice and they recline. That's the main thing that sold me on them. They recline. Reclinable bucket seats, you know, it's iffy on whether they're as like safe as a traditional bucket seat, but being that this is like a street car and I also don't really fit in it very well, this is a plus for sure. So I do have a driver's side bracket that came with this car, somewhere back here. I took the seat out, the driver's seat out already. I'm gonna lay this in here. Probably won't bolt it down, but I'm gonna lay it in this driver's side, put a seat in, see how high it is, see if we're gonna have to modify this and make it lower or make our own mounts for the seats, which is what I'm expecting to do. But if I don't have to, if I could use this, that'd be great. I doubt I can put sliders on it, so I know that this sits pretty far forward, which is one thing that I'm worried about. Because if this is this right? That lined up with the hole. Yeah, so that's right. But that's like really close. So you kind of need a slider to be able to get all the way back here. But I don't know. I'm gonna play with it right now and see. Let me get the seat and throw it in. So if we bolted it down, we could also make our own bolt hole brackets to where it sits like back here. But right now, where the bolt holes line up, it would be like that close, which is probably too close for me. Can't even see everything. And with these bucket seats, I might have to do a steering wheel. I didn't really want to, which means it's just gonna get more and more red, which it's not the worst thing, but it's not the best thing. Oh yeah, this will not work. Oh gosh, especially without a quick release, there's no way. But actually, I gotta take this out because it droops, and so I already can't see with it. And just get it out of the way for now. Actually, this isn't bad. So, oh, I'm not somewhere where it can bolt in. So it would bolt in like right here. Actually, I kind of like this. I like to sit close and over it. This is a little close down low for my knees. But actually, I don't mind that. This actually might work. We would just have to buy the same company's passenger side, throw it on the passenger side, and I could put the rail in on that one so that the passenger seat can be moved forward and backwards. This one's gonna have to be fixed. If I go any higher, it won't fit. And right now, even it's pretty close. I'm gonna go get one of my helmets and see, because it's one thing that's hard about drift cars, especially being 6'4", is trying to fit in them. So you have to take account of like your helmet. You can't be too close, otherwise it's just dumb. But I think this will work, even especially with the recliner. So they feel good too. That's not the first time I sat in them, but they hug you pretty decently. They're not super. They don't hug really well around the sides, which is where I like to be hugged more than my hips, but it's gonna be pretty good still. So this is kind of what we got going on so far. Literally just welding tabs onto the brackets themselves so that it sits as low as possible. I mean, we're doing all right so far. I just tacked this one on, so I'm gonna weld it out. Yeah, I gotta drill this hole, weld it out, and then we can do that. So making quick work of this. Easy little project. All right, so seat is mounted. We got a pretty good amount of head clearance, actually. Surprised. I mean, this thing is low. Like, look at my shoulders below below the door card. So like my shoulder is below the window. That's kind of nuts. Like it's hard to do that in a car. And I'm 6'4", so it's really difficult. I fit good. I need a deep dish steering wheel so that it's farther away from my knee, because when I'm clutch kicking and I come up, I'm probably gonna hit that. And my left knee is actually closer, because what I like to do in a drift car is kind of angle the seat inward a little bit. So the back of my seat is tilted out and the front of my seat is angled in. That way it's easier to switch over to left foot brake. So I can move my left foot over a lot easier now. In the Z, I always had it off to where like my feet were angled this way. So it was like I'd have to move super far to come over. Now it's literally like slip off on, and I can put my foot towards the middle of these two and it feels comfortable. So that also, but that does make your left knee closer to this. So I need to get a deep dish steering wheel so that we can pull it away from my knee and closer to me, because I do like it being closer to me as well. So if we can bring it closer to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and order one of those. But overall, this thing fits good. I sit nice and low. That's what we were worried about. I wonder how this looks. I'm in like 0.5 right now. I sit nice and low, seatbelt's not uncomfortable. It's sturdy. The only flexion in the seat is because it is a reclining seat, so it is gonna move a little bit. And it's not even reclined all the way right now too. So passenger seat, we're just gonna order a regular bracket and we'll mount it in there like that. So probably not gonna do much of a video for that. All right guys, so here's a little update. This video is kind of all over the place, so I'm sorry. It's kind of stretched out over the past like month and a half of me just trying to figure this car out. Here's what we've done. So we got replaced every fuel line on the car, replaced the intake manifold gasket, rewired the fuel pump, did new spark plugs, did a bunch of stuff, bought a new MAF and put it in, and car's still doing the same thing. Anytime I plug in the MAF, the car will turn on, rev right up to 3,000 RPMs, and then it'll just fall off and immediately die. You can't even keep it on unless you're keeping it above 4,000 RPM. So if I unplug the MAF, it works enough to even drive it. I drove it down the street right now, and it's fine. So what we're gonna do is we're going to leave the MAF unplugged, and we're gonna go send it at the track. We're gonna see what happens. If the motor pops for whatever reason, or if it dies out halfway through the day, darn, you know? Realistically, this car is not the build. You know, this is not the build on the channel. This is like a half build, thrown together pretty quickly in like a month and a half to get me on the track just one more time, and then hopefully an easy, good profit flip on it. That's the plan. I'm speaking a lot here. The plan is to go drive this next week, next Friday. So we're like 9 days away from the track day. All we gotta do is mount the passenger seat and kind of finalize getting the alignment in the rear like better. And then that's pretty much it. This thing's ready to go to the track. So we're gonna do our best to make that happen. And then that video will be coming out somewhat soon. On Saturday this week, we'll be putting the motor for the comp car together, or the actual build, you know, the race car build. So that will get put together this Saturday. That video will come out soonish. I'm gonna drop this one tonight, and then that one will come out like next week, and then the track day video will come out the week after that. So I wanna get back to the weekly uploads. I've been kind of lagging, so we'll get back to it. But yeah, we're gonna drive this thing here soon. So that was like a little bit of a track prep video, even though it was really all over the place. So if you've stuck around this much, I appreciate you. And we'll see you guys at the track hopefully soon.